I told the kids we're moving in next week. That's the first thing I heard when I walked into my parents' dining room that Sunday evening, my sister Vanessa's voice. Bright and careless, floating over the clink of dishes. For a second, I thought I'd misheard her. The room was full, Mom fussing with the roast, Dad at the head of the table, Vanessa's husband Rick helping himself to wine like it was his house. But then she looked right at me, smiling, and repeated it. We're moving in next week, she said, her tone almost chirpy. The boys are so excited to live by the lake. I stopped in the doorway. Moving in, where? She blinked, pretending not to catch my meaning. Your place, of course. The laughter around the table died instantly. The only sound left was the low hum of the ceiling fan. My place, I repeated, my voice flat. Mom set down the serving spoon too quickly, saw splashing. Honey, don't make it a thing. It's just temporary, until Vanessa and Rick get back on their feet. You've got all that space up there. Rick chuckled like this was all a big misunderstanding. It's a big house, Amelia. And Vanessa said there's a guest wing? We'll stay out of your hair. I stared at them, the same family who hadn't visited once during the 6 years I'd spent rebuilding that house after my divorce. 6 years of sweat, dust, and bank statements that kept me awake at night. Did anyone think to ask me first? Vanessa rolled her eyes. It's family, Amelia. We don't need to ask. You're not even there most of the week, it's just sitting empty. Mom said you'd understand. Mom nodded nervously, avoiding my eyes. We just thought it would be nice for everyone. Nice for everyone. That phrase again, it was my family's favorite way of saying nice for everyone, but I smiled tightly. We'll talk about it later. I sat through the rest of dinner in silence, nodding, smiling where it was expected. But the food tasted like metal. Every story Vanessa told, every laugh from my parents, grated against something raw inside me. When the plates were cleared, I excused myself. No goodbye hugs. Just keys, purse, and the long drive home through the dark. The lake was calm when I got there, moonlight spilling across the dock. I stood on the porch for a long time, trying to make sense of what had just happened. They really thought they could just move in. Like my house, my peace, was a family timeshare. Maybe once, I would have let them. I'd been that version of myself before, the peacemaker, the fixer. The one who said yes to everything because no felt too heavy. Too lonely, but I wasn't her anymore. The next morning, I started a list, not of arguments, not of reasons, of steps. Steps to end this before it began, because when people treat your boundaries like invitations, the only answer is to remove the door altogether. I called my realtor. Hi, Sarah? It's Amelia Ross. I'd like to quietly list my property. No sign, no open houses. Private buyers only. She hesitated. You're selling the lake house? You love that place. I do, I said. That's why I'm doing it now. Back then, the lake house wasn't much, a sagging A-frame with peeling paint and windows that whistled when the wind blew. My divorce had just gone through. 17 years of marriage reduced to a stack of papers and an empty bank account. I bought the house for $240,000, all I could afford after the settlement. It needed everything: wiring, plumbing, foundation repair. The first winter, I slept on a mattress in the living room because the upstairs floors weren't safe yet. I ate canned soup by the fireplace and listened to mice in the walls, but it was mine. Little by little, I rebuilt it. I learned to sand floors, patch drywall, tile a shower. I hired help when I could, worked side gigs when I couldn't. By year 3, it started looking like a home. By year 6, it was a dream: cedar paneling, a new deck, glass doors overlooking the lake. When I finished, my parents came once. They brought a pie, stayed 30 minutes, and spent 25 of them criticizing my lonely life. Vanessa didn't bother showing up. Now she wanted to move in. Midweek. I'd already received 2 offers, both full cash. One from a retired couple, another from a corporate buyer looking for short-term rental property. I picked the second. Fast, clean, done. The closing was set for the following Friday. The day before, Mom called. Amelia, sweetheart, I wanted to go over a few things before Sunday. Vanessa and Rick will probably arrive early in the week. You might want to clear one of the rooms for the boys. I stared at the phone. Mom, there's no room to clear. Don't be difficult. It's just family. You're not even using the house half the time. I took a breath. Actually, I won't be using it at all. I sold it. Silence. Then, you what? I sold it, Mom. It closes tomorrow. You're joking. No, I said. I'm not. Her voice rose. You didn't even tell us. That house was part of the family. No, I said calmly. That house was mine. Every dollar, every nail, every paint stroke. You didn't visit. You didn't call. And now you want to hand it to Vanessa like a gift. That's not fair. She snapped. Vanessa's going through a hard time. So did I said softly. You just didn't care then. She hung up on me. The next morning, I met Sarah at the title office. The paperwork took less than 20 minutes. Just like that, 6 years of work exchanged for a cashier's check and a strange, light feeling in my chest. When I left, I didn't drive straight home. I drove past my parents' house instead. Vanessa's SUV was in the driveway. I could picture the scene, boxes stacked, plans made, a family preparing for a move that would never happen. By sunset, my phone was blowing up. Vanessa, Amelia, what the hell is going on? The locks are changed. Rick, some guy's here saying it's his house. Call me now. Mom, you've lost your mind. We raised you better than this. I didn't reply. I drove to my new place, a small cottage 2 miles down the same shore. 1 bedroom, 1 deck, no expectations. When I got there, I opened a bottle of cheap wine, sat by the window, and watched the lake. The same water, the same wind, just quieter. Around midnight, Vanessa called again. This time, I answered. How could you do this to us? She shouted. You knew we were moving in. You decided that, I said. Not me. You're unbelievable. Mom and Dad said. Yeah, I interrupted. They said a lot of things. They always do. There was a pause, a sound like she was trying to hold back tears. You didn't even warn us. Vanessa, I said quietly, you've been warned your whole life. You just never listened. I hung up. The fallout was predictable. Mom told everyone at church I'd sold the family home out of spite. Dad refused to take my calls for weeks. Vanessa posted a cryptic rant about betrayal and toxic people pretending to heal. I didn't defend myself. I didn't explain, because explanations are for people who plan to stay. Instead, I focused on what came next. I started painting again. I fixed up the new cottage with the same care I'd given the lake house, but this time, I didn't tell anyone. When the delivery truck came to pick up the last of my furniture from the old property, I followed behind in my car. I watched from the road as strangers carried out the pieces of my past. It didn't hurt like I thought it would. It felt clean. The new owners waved as they passed. I waved back. They didn't know the story, and they didn't need to. All that mattered was that the house was no longer a bargaining chip in my family's games. It was mine. Until it wasn't. And that was enough. Later that evening, Mom texted one final time. We can't believe you'd choose money over family. I stared at it for a long minute. Then typed back, I didn't choose money. I chose peace. Then I turned off my phone, poured another glass of wine, and stepped outside. The lake shimmered under the stars, quiet, endless, forgiving. It didn't care who thought I was selfish. It didn't care what I'd sold or who hated me for it. It just reflected back what I finally was. 3.2 months passed before I saw Vanessa again. It was late spring, one of those bright Saturdays when the air smells like cut grass and second chances. I was at the farmer's market in town, picking out tomatoes, when I heard someone call my name, Amelia. I turned. Vanessa stood by the flower stall, wearing oversized sunglasses and that same forced smile she always used when pretending things were fine. Rick wasn't with her. Neither were the kids. For a second, I considered pretending not to hear her. But old habits die slow. She walked over, clutching a paper coffee cup. You look good, she said, hesitating on the word. So do you. I lied. There was an awkward pause, filled by the chatter of people around us. I didn't know you still came to town, she said. I live here now. Just a few miles down from the lake. She nodded, staring at the ground. We drove by the old house last week. The new owners painted it white. It looks different. I smiled faintly. Yeah, it should. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. Finally, Mom's still upset. She says you blindsided everyone. I sighed. Mom's upset because I stopped doing what she expected. There's a difference. Vanessa looked up at me, for once, without the performance. You really meant it, huh? Just walking away from all of us. I didn't walk away, I said softly. You pushed, and I stopped catching you. She looked like she wanted to argue but couldn't find the energy. Instead, she whispered, we lost the rental house. Rick's staying with his brother. I'm figuring things out. I didn't say I was sorry. I didn't say I was glad, either. I just nodded. I hope you do, I said. Figure things out, I mean. She nodded back. And for the first time in years, she didn't have anything else to say. We stood there for a moment. Two sisters surrounded by strangers. And then she walked away, fading into the crowd like a story that had finally reached its last page. I drove home with the windows down, the air warm and sweet. My cottage came into view, sunlight spilling across the porch. I parked, kicked off my shoes, and sat on the steps. The lake was glassy, perfectly still, like it was holding its breath. I thought about the past 6 years. About every argument I'd swallowed, every favor that came with a bruise of guilt. I thought about that Sunday dinner, about my mother's forced smile, Vanessa's casual entitlement. And for once, none of it made my stomach twist, because peace doesn't come when everyone forgives you. It comes when you stop needing them to. That night, I made a small fire by the water. I poured myself a drink, watched the flames dance, and pulled out the last photo I'd taken before selling the lake house, sunlight catching on the glass doors. The deck glowing gold. I didn't keep much from that place, but that photo. It reminded me of who I'd become, not the woman who said yes to everything. Not the sister who kept fixing other people's messes. The one who finally learned that walking away isn't cruelty, it's clarity. I burned the photo. Watched it curl, fade, vanish, the stars reflected on the lake, silent witnesses. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I owed anyone an explanation. I just felt the weight leave my shoulders, piece by piece. Some people wait for closure. Others build it, nail by nail, just like a house, and when they're done, they lock the door behind them and never look back.